Hey guys, so today I'm gonna make a review of my friend Andrea's video on mental health. So she posted the video on 15th October this year and she got a number of views. She got 513. And this is me capitalizing on all that. Anyway, let's watch the video.
Speak Out is a two-part documentary that talks about mental illness in teenagers of Kenya. So, mental illness is a really powerful word, but when we think about it, what do we think about?
A definition of mental illness here is a condition which causes serious damage to one's thinking and behavior. And I'm not quite sure where she found this definition, although there was a close one to hers defined by the American Psychiatric Association. According to the World Health Organization, though, a mental illness or disorder is characterized as a combination of abnormal thoughts, emotions, behavior, and relationships with others. For example, schizophrenia or depression, intellectual disabilities, and disorders due to drug abuse.
I'm sure most of us think about depression and anxiety, but is it really just that? Mental illness is a condition that causes serious damage to one's thinking and behavior. But we as Kenyans and we as an African country, we think of mental illness as a curse, as a taboo, as a bad omen. What kind of society is that?
So, you're talking about stigma and discrimination, and you're right about people seeing it as a curse or a bad omen. I've heard people go further to call it possession, though. And this is where stigma comes in. So, stigma is basically when someone sees another in a negative way because of some attribute or characteristic. And so, in this example, it would be a mental illness. For example, someone being labeled as psychotic rather than a person experiencing psychosis. And its effects would be really harmful. For example, a reluctance to ask for help or to get treatment. A friend of mine once told me, people fear what they don't understand, and you're trying to be cool. And I think that's where the stigma really comes from, which is why I really appreciate videos like this that spread awareness. So good job.
We have this sense of negative stigma surrounding mental illness, and for this reason, teenagers aged 13 to 19 really can't speak out or voice out what they feel. For this reason, we create an environment that's not friendly, that's not warm for teenagers to feel safe and at home. So as a result, teenagers hold back what they feel. Teenagers keep it in. The stress weighs down on them, and this results to suicide.
So I was reluctant to pause here and comment because we're literally a minute and a half in, and I don't want this video to be too long. And I also think suicide is too heavy a topic to cover in a short time. But just to jump in for a bit, the reason people kill themselves, at least according to some websites, is because of, a factor is because of hopelessness, among many other factors. When people feel they have lost all hope and don't feel able to change that, it can overshadow all the good things in their life, making suicide seem like a viable option. So that's a quote from Very Well Mind. It's a website which posted an article on why people commit suicide.
Now, I'm not saying all mental illnesses or one mental illness is higher than another. What I'm saying is that each mental illness has its own way of taking over one's body. It's a mind. The mind is really powerful. The mind takes control. But once it takes full control, then the emotions are part of it. Now, you may be thinking, I know this, why are you telling me this? This is something that's been talked about and talked about and talked about, but we are not talking about it enough. Now, I'm here to just make it clear, to bring it to your attention, that mental illness is indeed something important. Mental illness is indeed something to talk about. But why? Because in Kenya, we only have 100 psychiatrists. 100. This means that most of them are based in Nairobi, and outside Nairobi it's one psychiatrist per million population. When we think about what percent does the Kenyan government put into mental illness, it's 0.01% of the Kenyan budget. Now, this is worrying because most of this is put into administrative use. So there's lack of enough and efficient resources and equipment that is used in diagnosing patients. So this results into psychiatrists using a diagnosing criteria, and this may not be efficient, this may not be effective, because a teenager might choose what to say and what not to say.
Criteria for diagnosing mental illness was drawn up by the American Psychiatric Association as the DSM, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, and is revised and updated every couple of years. The latest release of the DSM-5, came out in May of 2013, and the criteria encompasses those left out details, even though it's not perfect. It's the best diagnosing criteria we have, actually.
So how sure are you, how sure are we that we are helping the future? Because currently suicide is the world leading death causing factor globally.
Actually, suicide is surprisingly low on the scale of deaths per million, according to a 2016 study by the World Health Organization. Cardiovascular diseases would take first place with 31.8% deaths in total, followed by cancer at about 17.08%, and respiratory diseases with 7%. Suicide would be number 15 on that list with 1.42% of total deaths. But interestingly, Kenya is ranked number 162 in number of suicides per thousand, with the male suicide rate being 5.1 per thousand, while the female suicide rate is 1.2 persons per thousand. So you guys decide what you're gonna do with that information.
Kenya included. So that's something to think about. That's something to think about when we shut out a voice, when we shut out a feeling, when we shut out a thought. Because that thought, that feeling, that opinion could really make a difference. Now, when we think of mental illness, yeah, we think about depression and anxiety, but really it's not only that. We have eating disorders, we have OCD, we have bipolar disorders, we have autism, we have so many more chemical imbalances that fall under mental illness, but we look at it as a curse. Because this is not a choice that a teenager made. Being mentally ill is not a choice. It's a chemical imbalance. So when we shut them out, when we don't listen to what they have to say, it's killing our society little by little. So this is why I'm bringing it to your attention. This is why I'm making it clear. And this is why I'm saying that it is important. Talk about it. Don't be scared to talk about it. Speak out is actually an encouragement to all teenagers who feel like they've been shut out to speak out. Because if you don't speak out, then who will? Thank you for listening to me, and stay tuned for part 1 and part 2. I hope it's informative. I hope it helps you speak out. I hope it helps you understand that mental illness is not a curse. Mental illness is not a choice. Mental illness is a chemical imbalance.
The video really was helpful. I hope you guys took something from it and go ahead to spread awareness. Thanks for watching.